Hey everyone, welcome to our fourth webinar for My Power Haute Route Riders. Today we're going to go over tips for a successful Haute route and do a little Q&A section at the end of the webinar. So I just wanted to let you all know, as usual, I've got you all on mute just to ensure the best recording sound possible. So if you do have a question, feel free to use the chat box. I have it open on a separate window and I'll be watching that throughout the webinar. It is being recorded, so for those people who couldn't make the live screening or want to go back and look at it at a later date, I will send you the link to the YouTube video and also send out the slides as well with the questions and answers. So you guys are here. Anyone doing the Pyrenees, you're just probably about a day away from the big event. So hopefully this will give you some peace of mind going into the Haute route. This is Sean Hyden, Director of Education for Verve Cycling, and I'm happy to help you guys make it to your big day. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Outline for today, the big event is here. Things that we're going to go over, how to break it down. Always have a plan that includes mental focus and preparation in minimizing mental stress and fatigue, in addition to some physical tips as well. We'll go over a basic equipment check, nutrition, how to be conservative, how to use your info crank for pacing, and of course we're going to be wanting you to upload your data and ask me questions throughout your events. I'm here to help. I've emailed with several of you and even talked with some of you via Skype or webinars. So same thing through the event. I'm here for you guys, so please take advantage of that. Okay, the first thing, break it down and have a plan. I always recommend either downloading the ride guide onto one of your portable devices if you're going to have one during the Haute route. If you're not going to have, an iPad, laptop, even a phone, then I would definitely print out the ride guide. You just always want to know what's going on. Here I just took a snapshot of a typical Haute route day. And for me personally, it was peace of mind to have the hard copy, but I know they're big books and everybody usually has some sort of portable device that they can download it onto. So I wouldn't rely on having an internet connection. Make sure that you actually download a copy onto your device. But here you can see I've taken a typical Haute route day, and this is actually from the Pyrenees book. If you take a look at it, there's not a lot of extra time. And I would say any extra time that they say that you're going to have, I think it's 3:30 to 5:30 as your free time, it's probably going to be even actually less than that. So just don't plan on, you'd be amazed how fast, if you haven't done these events before, how fast the days and the hours actually fly by in addition to the long rides that you're putting in. So have a schedule. Think about what you're going to do every day. Here it says 5:30 a.m. wake up and a 10 p.m. bedtime. Now I know, me personally, that's not enough sleep. If I'm riding, 4, 5, 6, 8 hours a day, I'm going to want a minimum of 8 hours sleep. So somehow I have to figure out where I'm going to get that. Can I get up later? Can I get, the biggie is going to bed early. If you can get by on less sleep, great. But I would take a look at this schedule and figure out how you can customize it to fit your needs. And also, just like anything, having a plan is key, and also knowing that there are going to be some days when that plan goes out the window and you just got to roll with it. But I think having a plan relieves a lot of mental stress. Also you guys are going to have to, cross the finish line, and I think one of the first things is probably go and upload your data at the Verve tent. So that's one extra thing that you're going to need to do every day, or you're going to need to do it from your device in your hotel room. So don't forget to plan that in too. All right. I would also break it down, have a plan leading up to the event. I know some of you are probably either on your way already or leaving shortly for the event. For those people who still are, a week or a month away from their Haute route, I would definitely recommend printing an equipment checklist or a packing checklist. When I was racing, when I first started racing, I had it printed out every single race, and I would literally check the items off to make sure that I had all of the things that I needed. And eventually you get to a point where, you can go through it mentally in your head, but just having that peace of mind of knowing that you've brought your helmet, your shoes, things that I recommend bringing are some staples. I know there's awesome support at the Haute route, but me personally, I never counted on that support entirely. So I always brought, kind of this mini tool bag of things that commonly can break or that you might need to replace on a 7-day tour. A derailleur hanger. It's very easy to bend your derailleur hanger. They're pretty easy to pick up in shops, or sometimes bikes are even shipped with a spare derailleur hanger. A seat post clamp. Sometimes you tighten your seat post a little too tight and a seat post can easily snap. Having a spare one always helps. I recommend having a spare chain and a chain tool. And definitely extra shoe cleats, or at least check your cleats to make sure that the wear is, minimal on them. Nothing is worse than breaking a cleat a couple days into a tour and then having to, find other shoes to borrow or trying to track down new cleats. Bring extra shoe cleats. Minimal tools, bring some chain lube, some grease, probably a set of Allen wrenches, anything that you regularly use on your bike. It's worth just throwing in a small tool bag. And then I always bring at least one extra tire and a few extra tubes. Again, I know the Haute route is known for its organization and support, but just having these things, you never know what's going to happen, or just peace of mind knowing that worst case scenario, you can probably take care of a lot of problems or incidents that might come up in 7 days of riding on your own. So hopefully that gives you a little background on what I recommend bringing with you. And again, back to the schedule. Know your schedule every day, have a plan. Breaking it down, mental focus. This is a big one for me because I think so many athletes really focus on the physical challenge and needs, which is absolutely necessary. You need to do the training. You need to be physically prepared. But sometimes people don't even take into account the mental focus that's needed, especially over a week-long tour or a week-long race. So this is when I recommend for myself, starting a race or starting a stage race every day, I take a few moments before I start and focus on the task at hand. And I kind of wrap my head around it and I say, I just, for me, it's I go somewhere private or I just take a little warm-up ride around the village and I just gather my thoughts. And I think about what I'm going to do that day and how I'm going to do it and what my plan is for it. All the things that we're going to go over today, think about those key things and also have a little positive self-talk each day. You've trained so hard and prepared so well for this event for several months. You're fit and you're ready and you're going to make the most of it. Today is the day that you make it count. And I say that every single day. The next thing that I can't stress enough is to be present every second of the ride. I know they're long days, but it only takes a split second to have a mishap that could ruin or change the outcome, change the success of your ride. And when I say be present every second, it just means riding in the moment. It's so easy to lose your focus or get distracted. There's a lot of people doing this event. You're going to be going on routes that you've probably never ridden before with people that you've never ridden with before. So really just try to stay in the moment. Try not to get distracted. It just takes a split second for everything to go wrong. So really try to be present. The next thing I always recommend is having a mantra. My personal one is a little bit now or a lot later. And what that means is when I'm really struggling in a race and maybe I'm fighting to chase back on or I'm about to get dropped, I say to myself, I could hurt a little bit now really bad, or I could hurt a lot later all by myself. So that's always my motivation to stick with a group. A little bit now, a lot later. It's much easier to just really get cross-eyed and hurt a little bit now and hang on to that group, or suffer a lot later all by myself for, who knows how many hours suffering out there alone. Whatever your mantra is, it might be just pedal, pedal, pedal. Some people just count pedal strokes. Some people, it'd be interesting. I'd love to hear your mantras, what you say to yourself when the going gets tough. But think about what that is that you can just kind of go to on autopilot and say to yourself. The next thing is reflect. Every day there's going to be good things and bad things that happen to you. Please take a few moments every day at the end of each stage. What went right? What did you really kick ass on? What did you do well? And I know there's going to be things every day that you're just like, yeah, I nailed that. And then think, okay, what went wrong or what didn't go exactly as planned, and how can I do that better tomorrow? And record this. It's all about learning each day too. And we all make mistakes. It's going to happen. But that, think about how you can use that mistake today, how you can use it tomorrow to have an even better ride. And the last thing is mentally start each day as if it were its first. I guarantee a lot of you are going to have some pretty crappy days out there during the 7 days too, or there's going to be moments during stages where you just really want to pack it in and you're done. But I know you're going to push through it because you guys are all mentally tough and you're prepared for this. At the end of each day, go over the good, the bad, and then let it go. Start each day as if it were the first stage of the race. It's a brand new day and you have a brand new chance. So I think that's really important for people to not get hung up and just super focused on what happened the day before. Each day is a new day and make the most of it. Just go for it. Equipment check every day. This goes back to being self-sufficient. Again, it's great that, I don't know, I've never done a Haute route actually before, but I've done many stage races and I've had pro mechanics and, I've been lucky to have some great support during my career. But I always took it upon myself to do my own bike check too. And when I say gentle bike drop, listen for unusual noises, that means just, pick your bike a few inches up off the ground and let it drop. Definitely don't be throwing it around. I know a lot of you, we all have really nice bikes, but it's just a gentle pick up and drop. You'd be surprised what kind of noises and things you can discover just by that. You'll hear everything from loose bottle cages to, sometimes tires get bumped or moved and you can, or maybe the quick release was loose or something. So I always recommend the bike check starts with a gentle bike drop. Then I always check the headset. If you haven't done this before, all you want to do is squeeze the front brake and you try to kind of push the bike back and forth. And what you're feeling for is any kind of play in the headset area or handlebar or stem area. Definitely this, things can come loose over 7 days, so I think it's a good idea to always, check these basic things. Is your chain clean and is it lubed? Nothing is worse than riding 4 hours with a squeaky, dry chain. So always check your chain, make sure it's lubed. Of course, tires. You're going to be going over some pretty severe terrain, so you want to look for cuts, holes. Make sure that your tires are properly inflated every single day. Riding with a slow leak can also ruin a day, right? And make your legs feel a lot worse than they should. Always check your brakes for rubbing. How many of us have completed a workout where we finish, we're like, why was it so hard? And you look, oh gosh, one of my brakes was rubbing. So take responsibility, make sure they aren't. And of course, check your shifting. Make sure that it's smooth and it's precise. If you're riding a new bike, sometimes cables can stretch. All kinds of things can happen with your shifting, right? I'm sure there's neutral mechanics at the Haute route. So if something's not shifting right, take it to a mechanic and make sure that it is shifting. As far as personal equipment, shoes and cleats. Again, check those cleats for wear and tear and check to make sure that the cleats haven't come loose. Make sure that the bolts are tight. I always ride with a saddlebag and a puncture kit, even if I know that there's neutral support. Again, I want that peace of mind that should something happen and I'm all by myself and I haven't seen a support vehicle in an hour, I can fix a flat tire by myself. It's just worth it. And so these are things, if there's something on the list that you don't know how to do, take your bike to a mechanic and ask them to check it. But I really can't stress enough just taking responsibility and making sure, set yourself up for success. right? Not for failure. So doing this every day, not only does it give you peace of mind, but you might catch something where, hey, maybe there's a huge gash in your tire and you need to put a new one on, and it can really make or break the day for you. Nutrition, off the bike. This is a big one. Never get behind the 8 ball. It's so much easier to stay ahead of it than behind it. Once you have to start chasing, your body's gone into such deficit that it's really hard to get it back around into the positive. So eat and drink more fluids than you think you need. I really can't stress enough that this is not the time to be dieting or cutting calories. It's also really important to get that recovery meal or drink within 15 to 20 minutes of your ride. Maybe some of you have heard of that glycogen window. It's true. There is a window where your body's going to absorb more nutrients than an hour after the ride or 2 hours after the ride. Plan this into your daily schedule. Immediately eat and drink after the stage every single day. For the mornings, it might be tough, but they're long days. So eating 2 to 3 hours before the event isn't as key. But just to minimize gastrointestinal issues, I would try to eat, an hour to an hour and a half before the ride start in the morning. If you're somebody who has trouble eating a big breakfast every day, then try to eat more at dinner, right? And then try to just bank those calories and know that you can get by with maybe eating a little less in the morning, but definitely, again, try to eat as much as possible, because you guys are going to be burning insane amounts of calories every single day. Also, try to eat familiar foods whenever possible. Know what works for your system. If you love oatmeal, or look, the first day, scope out the breakfast and see, okay, this is what I've eaten. You're probably going to have to eat foods that you haven't eaten before, but whenever possible, try to stick with familiar things. It'll be easier on your stomach. On the bike, a good goal I always recommend is drinking 1 bottle an hour. So think about that, and really, think about staying hydrated. Muscles will cramp and fatigue from dehydration before lack of calories. Try to eat something small every hour. Try to keep a constant stream of calories in, rather than stopping every couple hours and eating something huge. I even recommend taking bars or gels, or not gels, bars, and like the chews that you can get, or anything that you can break up into pieces into your pockets and just dump them in your pocket. So all you have to do is reach back and grab a little nibble and eat it. It's easier on your stomach, and it'll keep your energy constant if you can continually keep the calories going in, rather than something big every couple of hours. Eating real food as much as possible, I think, helps too, especially early in rides and early in the event. I try to save like energy gels and those types of things for later in the ride, when it's just all I can do to get calories in any way I can. So earlier on, real food, and then later on, switch to sports drinks and gels and food, those types of things. Again, on the bike, eat familiar stuff. Eat what works for you. Eat what your stomach can tolerate. Questions so far? I know I'm rambling through a lot of stuff fast, but you are going to get a copy of all these. So far, so good? Okay, cool. Aid stations. I actually took this from Carmichael Training Systems. It was a blog post that I saw, and I just thought it was really helpful for people for doing events, what to do and what not to do. The biggest thing is stay calm. What you want to do is come in smoothly, but you also you want to be quick and efficient. So know what you need to do. Get new bottles, grab some food, maybe swap out equipment, but keeping calm is key. When I think we've all seen the person who comes in and they're a nervous wreck, and they don't know what they want, and they're scrambling, and it ends up taking more time. And this is the perfect way to say it is, it's a place where you go slow to go fast, right? If you go slow and calm and methodical, you'll get what you need and you get back out on the road. Coming in all frantic and just kind of screaming for things that you need isn't going to help anybody get the job faster. Have a plan. What do you need? Do you want water or sports drinks? What kind of food items do you want? How much food do you need to pick up until the next rest stop? Have a plan. Think about this as you know, the final mile when you're coming in, or, a couple kilometers, whatever. Think about what you need. And don't linger. It's so easy to sit down and, really like just kind of collapse on the ground. But this is just time lost, right? It's much harder to make up, time that you spend just sitting around on the bike. So get in and get out is my motto. No, again, when you're coming in, if you have a plan, do you have to go to the bathroom? Do you have to change clothes? Do you need food? Do you need water? What do you want? In and out. And the last thing, of course, is smile. Like I said earlier, some of you are probably going to have some bad days or bad sections of events, but be nice to the support crew. They're there to help you, and they're doing their best to get you what you need and get you back out on the road. Try to say thanks if you can too, if somebody's helping, or tell them about your experience. Just remember that there are people out there just trying to help you have a successful Haute route. All right, questions from my power riders. These are some that came in the last few days, and what I thought I'd do is just actually answer them, because a lot of them, I got repeat questions, and they were all pretty similar. Somebody asked me, what's the best way to manage the last week, and how many days before the first stage do you usually recommend stopping training? Well, generally, a week out, you've got the fitness that you've got. So the focus should be on rest and recovery. For a 7-day event, you need to go in fresh. So whatever it takes to get your stress balance between 10 and 20 is what I recommend. Then do whatever it takes. If it's resting, complete rest, maybe you're still in the hole a little bit, then err on the side of easy or rest. Training hard and long is just going to fatigue you. Yes, you want to keep some intensity, but lose the volume. You can do some short, moderate intervals to keep the legs and all the systems working, but you don't want to do so much that actually puts you back in that stress balance negative. So, I can't actually give hard numbers. It's an individual thing, but take a look at your stress balance and use that to make sure that you're rested and ready for the Haute route. Training sessions, how many do I recommend in the last week? Well, based on what I said in the last question, I definitely recommend 2 to 3 days off, 1 to 2 very easy spins, and maybe 1 to 2 days of shorter, moderate intervals. That seems to be a good mix. Again, it's going to depend on stress balance, but that's kind of a, general overall view for the final week. Just enough to keep the engine running, but not enough to empty the tank. Pacing. This is a biggie, right, for you guys? Pacing your rides in the first stages compared to FTP, and how do you climb? At what pace do you climb? I think we covered this in a previous webinar, and it's anywhere from 75 to 95% of FTP. I know that's a huge range. The more experience you have riding and racing, generally the closer to FTP you can climb at, and you can even hold this effort for extended periods of time and even days. So if you're someone who's new, you've maybe never done a multi-day event, or you've never done an ultra distance type of day, again, go on the low side, 75 to 85%. If you're someone who's done multiple Ironmans or marathons or Haute routes, probably going to be closer in that 85 to 95% of FTP. On the flats, this is where I always try to ride in a group to save energy. And it's good for the camaraderie, right? Like on the flats is where, even if there's a group behind you, you're better off waiting for that group and riding with them, saving the energy. If you look back and, you can see them, but you know that they're going slower than you, I still would recommend, wait up a couple minutes. It's worth it, because the energy that you'll save in the group and just, the friends and conversation, it'll just mentally take a break for you too. Wait for them, go in a group, go easier, and then use your energy on the climbs. You can definitely put time into your competitors, or you can make up time on climbs versus on the flats. Because if you just charge on the flats, you're not going to have as much left for the climbs as where you really need it. It's always good to eat and drink on the flats. Yeah, you're going to be drinking on climbs, but eating and drinking on the flats is the easiest place to do it, and you definitely want to spin, spin, spin on the flats, because you're going to be grinding out some big long climbs, and your body's going to appreciate the break on the flats if you can spin in an easier gear. Definitely. It depends. For more experienced cyclists and athletes, again, for going back to the climbing thing, closer to the 85, 90, 95% on the climbs is definitely where you're going to be. It just depends on experience and how long you've been riding. So kind of take that into consideration for your individual pacing efforts. There is one other thing on pacing, and I'll be sure to include this in the webinar. My friend Adnan Kadir, who just created another software application called Velo Pro. He has a blog post on power meters and pacing, and this is in general for time trial, but it just echoes what I've said to you guys. I'll be sure and include this link. It breaks down, the training zones, and again, he talks about if you're doing a 70.3 triathlon, so a half Ironman, he recommends about 80% of your FTP. That's because you have to, you've just swam and you're going to get off and run. Well, that's probably about where you're going to be for the Haute route on multiple days. I'm guessing a lot of you, you're going to average around your 80% of your FTP for the stage effort. So I think that's a good rule of thumb to go by, and I will include this link as well. All right, next questions. Additional tips for my power riders, things that I haven't covered. We sort of did cover it, but pace yourself. 7 days is a long time. Better start conservatively. And one of my sayings is, you likely can't win the race on the first stage, but you can definitely lose. So going too hard and blowing yourself up, you can definitely, or injuring yourself, those types of things on the first couple of days or early in stages. So many things can go wrong by going too hard. So use your info crank. We've talked about pacing. We've talked about percentages. Look at your power meter. It's so easy to get so excited in the moment, and adrenaline is pumping, and you just go gonzo from the gun, and the next thing you know, 2 hours in, you're done. So look at your power meter. Don't necessarily trust rate of perceived exertion, because again, adrenaline can affect that. So pace yourself. Take care of yourself. This is the time to be a little selfish. It's okay. You really need to focus on yourself for these 7 days. You need to just make sure that you're doing everything you can to set yourself up for success. Sleep as much as you can. The cyclist creed, well, that's the next one. Stay off your feet. Sleep as much as you can. I stressed this earlier on with that schedule. How many hours of sleep do you normally get at home, or when you're in a hard training block? You're going to be in unfamiliar surroundings. It might not be as easy to fall asleep. So sleep as much as you can. And stay off your feet. This is what I was jumping ahead of myself a little bit for. The cyclist creed, never stand when you can sit, never sit when you can lie, and never lie when you can sleep. Again, there's going to be the expo, and there's going to be people, and you're going to want to talk with people that you've met on the road and teammates, and about how the ride went, and you're going to want to hear their stories. But the more time you spend standing and walking around, the more fatigued your legs get. So if you do want to talk to people, try to find a place to sit and do it. Just try not to walk around for hours after each day. Use your gears. Most of us by now have, 20 to 22 gears. Use all of them. There are 22 for a reason, or there are 20 for a reason. You're supposed to use them. Try not to cross-chain. If you don't know what cross-chaining is, email me. But use the gears and change ride your hand position throughout the days. You'd be surprised. People get in a fixed position, and then they wonder why they can't turn their head at the end of 4 hours or a 6-hour day. Ride on the tops of the bars, ride on the hoods, ride in the drops, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Changing positions will help your body fight fatigue and upper body strain. So another thing I always recommend is shrugging your shoulders periodically. You know, I do a head to toe check when I'm riding, and then I go toes to head. You know, I kind of move my neck, so I'm doing it as I talk. You know, I might move my, tilt my head, you know, my ears to my shoulders. I shrug my shoulders. I wiggle my fingers. I make sure that I'm taking deep breaths. Make sure that my pedal stroke is as smooth as supple as possible. Am I in the easiest gear that I can be in while still putting out the power that I need to? And I even wiggle my toes. Hot foot is something really common for big, long rides, right? Wiggle your toes. And just kind of mix it up, right? Regularly check. Is everything loose? Am I clenching something? Even your jaw. Sometimes you don't even realize that you're wasting energy clenching your jaw tight. So regularly check yourself head to toe. Carry more food and clothing than you think you'll need. Always pack a rain jacket. It's worth the wait. You're going to be going up huge mountain passes, and the weather can change in an instant. Just having a rain jacket can literally make or break the day sometimes. And always have some food in your pocket. Always carry at least an emergency gel or an emergency bar. You never know when you might need it. I even recommend at the beginning of the ride, this is something that is in my cycling shoes to this day. I take a $20 bill in whatever currency, or 20 euro, and put it in between the sole of your shoe and the, what is it, like, I guess the foot pad or bed or whatever, insole. Insole is the word I'm thinking of. So that you always have some emergency money in case you need it. You might get stranded out by yourself and you really need a drink, or you've had some sort of mechanical issue. Having 20 bucks in your shoe, it's just peace of mind. Just put it there and forget it until you need it someday. Carry a flat tire kit, always. Again, worth the wait, you know. Spare tube, CO2 cartridge, and pump doesn't really weigh that much. Knowing that you can take care of yourself in case there's no support vehicles around, worth the wait. Always try to find a group on the flats, a little bit now, a lot later, or wait up, right? Dig deep if you have to get up on the back of that group, or wait up for the group that's maybe a minute behind you. It's good to have company, and you'll save so much energy on the flats if you're in a group. Don't give up. This is probably an easy one for you guys because I've read a lot of your bios and questions and stuff, and a lot of you are very driven people. But always remember, you're stronger than you think. Just go for it, right? Just remember that. Don't give up. Be safe on the descents. Back to number one on pacing yourself. Chances are you can't win on a descent, but you can definitely lose. Ride within yourself and be safe. You know, descents aren't the place to try to make up ground necessarily. You know, just be in the moment, be present, ride within yourself, and make it home safe every single day. It's just worth it, right? Any amount of time that you might lose on the descents, you'll be able to make up on the climbs if you want to. And the last thing is have fun and go for it. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. I hope you get another chance to do it or something else just as incredible, but you might not. So embrace it, live it, and love it for everything that it is. You know, for the happy moments, for the hard moments, everything. You're probably going to be pushed to your limits more than once, and you know, you're going to make memories of a lifetime. So try to remember that as it's happening, right? That's another thing about being in the moment. Don't get hung up so much on the finish, but enjoy the ride along the way too. So hopefully those are some good tips for you guys, and some good pointers for things to remember and keep in mind. At this point, if anybody has any questions, I'd like you to use the chat box and chat them to me. I'll wait on the line. I think I've signed up a couple of times a little early, so if you have a chat, now's the time to ask me any questions. Hopefully you guys got some good information. I'm super excited for all the riders who are about to start the Pyrenees. I will send out the video link of this and also the PDF of the webinar, and I look forward to hearing from all of you once you start the ride too, and seeing your data. It looks like either I did a really good job answering questions, or people are going to email them to me later on. So anyways, that's all I've got. Thanks for joining me, and good luck in the Pyrenees. Thanks for attending.